What comes to mind when you think of ancient Egypt? Pyramids, pharaohs, golden masks? But the story of this incredible civilization is so much more. It's an 8,000-year epic of innovation, collapse, rebirth, and legendary figures. Strap in, because we're about to speed run through one of the most fascinating journeys in human history. Our story doesn't start with pyramids, but with rain. A lot of it. We're going back over 8,000 years to the African humid period, a time when the Sahara wasn't a desert, but a vast green savanna. This was the Green Sahara, a lush landscape of grasslands, lakes, and rivers teeming with life. Early hunter-gatherer societies thrived here. They hunted game, gathered plants, and crucially, began to fish in the new waterways. This period of abundance allowed for a revolutionary shift, the dawn of agriculture. They started cultivating wheat and barley and domesticating animals like cattle. Life was good, but climate change is a constant force in history. The rains shifted, and the Green Sahara began to wither, slowly transforming into the immense desert we know today. Faced with this encroaching wasteland, these early people had no choice but to migrate. They followed the retreating signs of life until they found the one permanent artery of civilization, the Nile River. By around 6000 BCE, the Nile Valley became the sole refuge. Its predictable annual floods created incredibly fertile soil, and its geography offered natural protection. Here the migrants settled, building permanent mud brick homes, developing pottery, and laying the foundation for everything that was to come. As these Nile communities grew, they began to coalesce into two distinct rival kingdoms. This is where we get the terms Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north. Remember, the Nile flows north, so Upper Egypt is upstream and Lower Egypt is downstream at the Nile Delta. Upper Egypt was a narrow strip of land bordered by harsh deserts. This forged a tough warrior culture, always looking to expand. Their symbol was the white crown. Lower Egypt was the broad, fertile delta. It was more trade-oriented and cosmopolitan, with connections to Mesopotamia and the Levant. Their symbol was the red crown. Tension between the powerful south and the wealthy north was inevitable. The catalyst for change was a southern king named Nama, also associated with the name Menes. Around 3100 BCE, Nama led his army north and conquered Lower Egypt. We know this from the Nama palette, a carved stone slab that shows him wearing the white crown on one side and the red crown on the other. He became the first pharaoh, the god king embodying the deity Horus. He founded the new capital of Memphis, unifying Egypt and kicking off its dynastic history. The next 500 years, known as the Old Kingdom, represent the First Golden Age. This is the era of staggering architectural achievement, most famously the pyramids. It began with King Djoser and his architect, the genius Imhotep, who designed the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, the world's first major stone structure, but the Fourth Dynasty decided to go bigger. Pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure built the iconic Great Pyramids at Giza and the Great Sphinx. These were not just tombs, they were powerful statements of divine authority and administrative control, constructed over decades. However, the seeds of collapse were sown. Pharaohs delegated power to regional governors, nomarchs, to manage the vast kingdom. Over time, these nomarchs grew powerful, while the authority of the pharaoh in Memphis weakened. Combined with a series of catastrophic droughts and famines, the state fractured. The Old Kingdom collapsed, ushering in a century of chaos known as the First Intermediate Period. From the chaos, a powerful family from Thebes in the south rose to reunify Egypt. Mentuhotep II finally succeeded, founding the Middle Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom pharaohs were practical. They focused on public works, irrigation projects, and securing borders. This was also a golden age for Egyptian literature and art. Crucially, the afterlife was democratized. The The cult of Osiris promised that any moral person, not just the pharaoh, could achieve eternal life. Yet the cycle repeated. Weak pharaohs led to power, shifting back to the nomarchs. Egypt's internal weakness made it a target. A Semitic-speaking people from the Levant, the Hyksos, rulers of foreign lands, settled in the Nile Delta. Using advanced technology like horse-drawn chariots and composite bows, they eventually conquered Lower Egypt, initiating the Second Intermediate Period. The native Egyptian rulers in Thebes were forced to pay tribute to these foreign overlords, a deep national humiliation. The tension finally exploded into open rebellion, led by Theban princes. After the likely death in battle of Sekenenre-Tau, his brother Ahmose I finished the job. Using the Hyksos' own weapons against them, he besieged their capital and drove them out of Egypt. Ahmose I was hailed as a liberator and founded the 18th dynasty and the New Kingdom, Egypt's age of empire. United by nationalism and a hatred of foreigners, Egypt became a military superpower. This era is packed with legendary figures. Hatshepsut, one of history's most successful female pharaohs and the first female pharaoh that had full power. She focused on trade and architecture, building her magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri. Akhenaten, the heretic king, who abandoned the traditional gods for the worship of a single sun deity, the Aten. He built a new capital at Amarna, a radical revolution that was completely reversed after his death. Tutankhamun, the famous boy king who restored the old gods. His tomb's discovery in 1922, packed with untouched treasures, made him a global icon. Ramesses II, the Great, the ultimate imperial pharaoh. He ruled for 66 years, built monuments everywhere, and fought the Hittites at the Battle of Kadesh, which he famously spun into a propaganda victory. But eventually, the familiar pattern returned. The power of the pharaoh waned, corruption grew, and external threats from the sea peoples and others drained the empire. By the end of the 20th dynasty, Egypt fractured again, entering the Third Intermediate Period. The later dynasties saw Egypt weakened and frequently under foreign occupation. The late period saw native pharaohs like those of the 26th dynasty briefly restore glory, styling themselves as revivalists of a great past. But they were no match for the rising Persian Empire, which conquered Egypt in 525 BCE. Even after rebellions, the Persians retook control. The era of native Egyptian pharaohs was effectively over. The final chapter began in 332 BCE, when Alexander the Great marched into Egypt and was welcomed as a liberator from Persia. He founded the city of Alexandria, which became a center of Hellenistic learning. After Alexander's death, his general Ptolemy took control of Egypt, founding the Ptolemaic dynasty. These were Greek rulers who adopted Egyptian customs to legitimize their rule. The last of them was the most famous, Cleopatra VII. Brilliant and multilingual, Cleopatra masterfully navigated the world of Roman politics, allying herself first with Julius Caesar and then with Mark Antony. Her goal was to restore Egypt's independence and power, but her gamble failed. Defeated by Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE, she and Antony committed suicide. With her death, the line of the pharaohs ended after nearly 3,000 years. Egypt became a mere province of the Roman Empire. And that's the epic rollercoaster history of ancient Egypt, a story of incredible human achievement, the relentless cycle of rise and fall, and a civilization whose legacy continues to captivate us thousands of years later. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which era you find the most fascinating. Thanks for watching.